What's up, lovers of whiskey and watchers of YouTube? I'm the Malt activist, and I'm sure that you can tell by my t-shirt what you have in store today. That's right, I'm talking about the Ardbeg Smokiverse. That's right, our annual Ardbeg Festival release. Now, with this whiskey, experimental mash, check. Intergalactic artwork, double check. But is it any good? Let's find out. Right, before we deep dive into this really cool concept of a whiskey, which I will get into in a couple of minutes, I just want to say thank you to my returning viewers. You guys keep your standards so low. I really appreciate it. And if this is the first time you're here on this channel and you're really interested about all stuff that's about whiskey and it's geek and it's nerdy and it's fun and it's I don't know, whatever adjective you want to use. If you think that this is cool, then please consider subscribing to this channel. It'd be really cool. What else? Okay, nothing more. Look, now before I get into the whiskey, I have to admit, yes, I was sort of absent for a while, about roughly a month or so. Well, and it's a valid reason because it was my birthday. It was my 50th birthday, by the way. Yes, that's right. Half a century old. That's right. Distilled in 1975 and left to mature. Well, I don't think mature is the right word for me, but yes, 50 years on this planet. I decided to take some time off with the family. You know, was in the UK for a bit. Went down to the Cotswolds. Visited the distillery, ended up buying one of their glasses. Didn't buy a Cotswold whiskey for some reason. Well, not for some reason. I was maxed out on my whiskey purchases. So if you want to know what I bought, check out one of my YouTube shorts that's going to be coming out soon. But yeah, had to take a little time off, chill with the fam, celebrate the birthday, have a good time. And yes, now I'm back. And I'm back now with the Ardbeg Smokiverse. Now check this out. Check this baby out. That's right. This is your annual festival release for Ardbeg, and it's got an interesting little mash experiment, if you like. But before we get into that, I just want to let you guys know that we actually. So I drank this last night, and we actually had our own little Ardbeg day. Right here in Dubai, where I live. Didn't go to Isla this year. I think I was a bit Isla'd out last time when I went. So I think a little bit of absence should make the heart grow fonder. Though I was getting a lot of FOMO. A couple of my friends were there sending videos. So yes, I did get some FOMO. But anyway, so we celebrated Ardbeg Day yesterday with my whiskey club, and we went through a host of festival releases and special committee releases. So if I remember correctly, you know, we had the SCOTCH, we had the Heavy Vapors, we had the Eureka, we had the Spectacular, we had something else, I don't remember. Then we had our own private single cask Ardbeg, which, by the way, I thought I had lying around here, but I'll show you later. And then, of course, we unveiled the Smokiverse, much to everyone's delight. We didn't tell them that we had this on the lineup. It was a surprise for the evening. Actually, check this video out.
The Ardbeg Day Smokiverse tonight.
You can tell by the whoops and the shrieks that this was a very well received surprise. More than that, I also managed to get Jackie Thompson, who's the chairman, the committee chairperson, and it was her last day. It was her last day yesterday at Ardbeg Day, and she was kind enough to send us a little personal video message for all of our members who had come for our Ardbeg Day tasting. Check this video out. Actually, it's pretty cool.
Hey, from Ardbeg Distillery on the morning of Ardbeg Day. We're sending all our best wishes to all you guys in Dubai, the Malt Whisky Society, Ganesh, Tab, all of you. We've got our committee wall up here. I think a couple of you are on it as well. We're going to celebrate today. Weather's looking a bit dodgy. It's probably better in Dubai. But hey, have the best Ardbeg day. Bye.
I, for one, I'm going to be really sad to see Jackie go, but hopefully she stays on the island, and so that when we visit, hopefully next year we get to see her one more time. Jackie and I have had some fun times together where basically it's her generosity that keeps bringing me back. The amount of single cask whiskeys that she's given me just out of the goodness of her heart is insane. And if I was to put a value to that, I'm probably plus. I'm net positive on my experience with Jackie and Ardbeg. So thank you, Jackie, for all your lovely hospitality and making sure that the visitor center was always amazing. And then your last few years as a chairperson of the Ardbeg committee have been exceptional, and I wish you nothing but the best. Okay, so you didn't come here to watch me ramble about silly stuff. You're here because I have with me the Ardbeg Smokiverse, and I think we've done enough of these close-ups into the lens to this. Yes, the Ardbeg Smokiverse. So now, what do I know about this whiskey? It's interesting. Let's first pour ourselves a much needed dram. Yeah, so, oops, there's some shit inside the thing. Alright, so, why is it called the Smokiverse? But here's the thing, which always fascinates me about distilleries and Ardbeg in particular, is that they will take something that is seemingly innocuous and turn it into this grand theme, which is amazing, right? So the reason, this is so funny, right? The reason this is called the Smokiverse, emphasis on the word verse, as in universe or multiverse, is because of this little experiment that they did with the mash, right? And essentially what they did was they dialed down the amount of water that they put in the mash, which meant that the concentration of flavors that got extracted from the barley, the malted barley, was that much more, right? So it's essentially, imagine a glass of water that high, and then you put like 10 spoons of sugar in it, right? The water is going to be sweet. Now, if you halve the amount of water and you still put 10, spoons of sugar, that water is going to be crazy sweet, right? So essentially that's what they've done. So, and that is the amount of, okay, so I'll tell you why it's why this is called the Smokiverse, is because the amount of sugar in that liquid is called gravity. So the higher the amount of sugar, the greater the gravity. And because the gravity was really high, they said, hey, let's do something interesting with the word gravity and give it an intergalactic theme. So that's what they did. So it's really simple. They just lessen the amount of water that they put in the mash. That's kind of really it. But then they used the word gravity and then had an intergalactic inspiration from there, and that's why it's called the Smokiverse. So hey man, I wish I was this good at pulling concepts and themes out of my ass the way these guys do. So kudos, that's why it's called the Smokiverse. I think it's a cool name. I like the fact, and I mentioned this before in all my other videos, is that I love the fact that Ardbeg is, they don't take themselves too seriously. They're a bit irreverent. They come up with fun stuff and all of that. So thank you. Good job, Dr. Bill Lumsden. Good job, Colin Gordon, who's the distillery manager. Though this was laid down before you came, I believe. So this has been sitting there for a while. So let's get down to it, right? So basically a mash experiment with reduced amount of water in the mash, which essentially concentrated the flavors in that wort. and then that wort was distilled further. Apparently no other change was made to the recipe. Perhaps slightly different fermentation times, maybe a variation on the yeast, but these are just snippets of information that I found on the net. There does not seem to be any real, validated literature on the recipe. I'm guessing it's a secret, but whatever it is that they've done, all we know is definitely reduce the amount of water in the mash, which increased the gravity, hence the theme. Maybe some change in fermentation, maybe some variance in yeast, we don't know. But the result of that, so the result of something like that means that the whiskey comes out that much more sweeter, because there's of course more sugars in that wort than there would normally be, right? Per liter of liquid, right? Per unit of measure of liquid, the amount of sugars in there. And not to get technical, apparently the gravity is measured, I don't know how gravity is measured in that, but basically it's supposed to be 1.06 normally, but because of the reduced water, this new gravity or the amount of sugar is made in 1.075 gravity, which according to Dr. Bill Lumsden doesn't seem like much, but it does. It makes a hell of a big difference. So we're gonna take his word for it. And essentially what it's done is it's supposed to have packed more flavors, made it more intense, made it more sweeter, which I'm kind of okay with, because I personally like sweeter whiskeys. I find them more balanced, especially peated whiskeys. If they're sweet and fruity as well, to me that serves as a more balanced dram. And is this a balanced dram? Let's find out. So this is bottled at 48.3% ABV. A funny little ABV, but I guess it worked. It's not 46, it's not 48, it's not 50. Apparently 48.3 was the sweet spot. I'm okay with that as long as it's non-chill filtered, no color added, and above 46%. I'm a happy camper, and I think that ticks all the boxes, right? That's what it looks like color-wise. So nice, light gold color, not too heavy, very sort of refill bourbon color. I'm guessing that this is anywhere between 8 to 9 years old. They say there's a 10-year window somewhere, but I could be wrong. There is no committee bottling. So they've only released just the one, coming in at 48.3%, which means nothing at a higher ABV, which is what they used to do previously. And I don't know, they haven't done it this year, so I don't know, some reason for that. It is what it is, though it would be really nice to have a committee bottling at about 52+%. That would have been really, really good. But hey, what do I know? I'm not a whiskey maker. I'm just a degenerate that sits in his room drinking whiskey and passing judgment. What do I know? Okay, on the nose, I'm getting immediate, I'd get that, soft campfire, some burnt toffee, sea salt, charred oak, and then that distillery character comes running in with the grilled pineapple, citrus, lemon, lime, maybe some black licorice, hints of pepper, smoky bacon. But apparently the one flavor profile that is standing out is smoked bubblegum. I don't know if I get smoked bubblegum, but it's an intriguing flavor profile. Anybody who came up with it, yeah, fun. Smoked bubblegum. But very, very sort of quintessential distillery characteristics. Look, I like the nose. It's a very, very decent nose. I like it. Look, you can't go wrong with a well distilled Ardbeg in pristine bourbon casks. Can't go wrong with that. So yeah, I like the nose. I really do. Bruh, shall we drink? Well, that's why we're here. Oh, so many minerals. Limestone. Very decent mouthfeel. Medium to full, maybe more medium than full. Again, the minerals hit me first. That limestone hits me first. But then I go back to that campfire, bonfire smoke. I was gonna say almost tar-like, but not really there. Some kind of sweet syrup. Salted caramel, definitely salted caramel. Maple glaze. You know, the kind that you rub on bacon strips. You know what I mean? Yeah, maple glaze, that's good. Roasted coffee beans, hints of clove, and there's a nuttiness to it as well towards the end. Almonds maybe. But look, ooh, and a nice finish. It's lingering on, it's staying on. I got peppers bursting all over my palate. Nice. I like it. I really like it. Yes, this is a good Ardbeg. In fact, it's a very, very good Ardbeg. It's a touch sweeter than most Ardbegs, I'll give it that. Though not as much as I thought it would be. I genuinely don't know how much difference that whole mash experiment has really made. This is probably very, very close and interchangeable with the 10-year-old, which, don't get me wrong, is one of my favorite whiskeys in the whole world, and the new 10s are also doing absolutely amazing. I think they're fantastic whiskeys. But this one definitely has a far more sweeter profile. I wish it was a little more viscous, a little more full-bodied on the palate. I would have really liked that, like how they did the Barbecue. Oh, that is a really, really good mouthfeel, the Barbecue. I wish it had the Barbecue mouthfeel, but it does not. But that's fine. It's definitely not thin by any means. Like I said, medium to full, which is good. Overall, good flavor profile. Very, very typical Ardbeg flavor profile with that grilled pineapple and the bacon and the smoky campfire and hints of licorice, but then rounded off with that very strong citrus, lemon, lime, which is found across most Ardbegs in my opinion. Does it have smoked bubblegum? No, I don't get smoked bubblegum, though it rolls off the tongue really nicely, and I think it's one of those flavor profiles that catches you by the throat, and you're like, whoa, what's this? Let me check out what smoked bubblegum tastes like. But I think it's it's the sweetness and the smokiness and whatever. So do I like it? Yeah, I think I do, man. I think I do. I think I really, really like it actually. Is it a very different Ardbeg? No, it is not at all a different Ardbeg. Because if you think about it, essentially the only change that's happened to this recipe is slightly less water in the mash. Everything else is the same. Bourbon casks, I'm guessing, lots of refill bourbon casks. Similar number of years of maturation as the 10, so 8 to 9 years old, I'm going to guess. Similar flavor profiles, so you don't really get anything that you say, whoa, this is a different Ardbeg, or here's a new tasting experience for me. So which is understandable. I might think some people have that way of looking at it, which is absolutely fine, nothing wrong with that. But for idiots like me who have to collect every single community bottle that comes out, festival bottle that comes out, or community bottle that comes out, for the shelf in the back, then sure, yeah, perfect. That's what you want. You need a new whiskey. Why is that not in focus? Is it not in focus? There it is. It's in focus. So you need a new whiskey on your shelf when they come out with it. So you gotta do it. Your friends come there, they're curious. You want to share it with them, and I think that's the reason we buy these whiskeys. But for those of you who are not really interested in collecting festival bottles, then maybe stick with the 10. It's cheaper for sure. However, having said that, I think it's still interesting. I still think I like that second sip. That second sip is a lot better. Hold on, I had this thing on. That second sip is really, really good. I think, once you get past the sort of initial alcohol, the sweetness really comes through on your second, third sips. So look, it's an interesting flavor profile. I think if you like Ardbeg, you will love this. If you don't like Ardbeg, you will not like this. Let's be clear. It's an interesting dram. I think it's softer than most Ardbegs. I don't know if they messed around with the ppm, but it's definitely softer than most Ardbegs. The smoke is a gentle campfire smoke, which I like. There's a sweetness to it, which I like. The mouthfeel is nice. And you can't go wrong with pristine bourbon barrels that Ardbeg has in their arsenal. So, what do I think? I'm going to give this a 7.5 B+, which is very commendable. Maybe, could I give it an 8? No, I won't give it an 8. I'll give it a 7.5 B+, which I think is a commendable score for a good whiskey that is, shall we say, somewhat decently priced. I mean, the world is getting expensive, right? I think it's about 85-90 pounds, this whiskey. Which is kind of high for a non-age statement. I get it, but it's a festival release, and you know what? With all that money they saved on the water, they could have reduced the price on this. But hey man, I don't know. So yes, so thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're, like I said, if you're a new subscriber, please subscribe. Oh, if you're a new viewer, not subscriber. If you're a new viewer, please subscribe. If you're an old subscriber, just keep coming back, man. I miss you guys. And sorry I took a longer than expected or needed sabbatical. So yes, hopefully back to making more videos and all the good stuff. And cheers, happy Ardbeg Day. Jackie, I love you. I'm the Malt Activist. Until next time, peace.